Now we're gonna open up Blide, and I would like to let you guys know that this entire series will be labeled with an A, so that you guys keep up with the particular series. Now, you already know how to drop these into Yabber and open them up, as this is the only way Yabber opens. Really, I don't think there's any other way to open Yabber. And then we get these three files. We got the textures files, both of them, and then we got the character file. And in this case, we need the character file. So we're going to open it up all the way until we get to the flavor file, or fiver, however you want to say it. And I'm just going to bring up the Geralt one as well. Um, so the scene one and this one is where Geralt's going to be. Anyway, so back to business. So we take the flavor file, whatever you want to do. You can open it up just to see that this is in fact Blide, and he looks pretty great. In fact, he's notably bigger than a normal person, especially if you look at him in game. Anyway, can't do anything with him here. This is just a really cool thing. I do believe I'm gonna remove his armor piece, his fur, his head. I'm pretty much gonna take away all Blide stuff and make it more personal. But we need to open up BB Tools in order to get a source file or an SMD file. And we're going to use the version 3. We're going to take the flavor file and drop it into the third version. And it will do some hokey pokey. And I'm going to just go ahead and delete the ASCII file. It's just not something I need. Just reorganizing real quick. Get everything situated. Delete this. And then now we have the SMD file down here, which is what we're going to need in Blender. So let's go ahead and open up Blender and get that ported in. So if you did see the original series, you already know how to get the source tools and how to import, so I'm not going to spend too much time doing that, but you can follow along if you want. So I'm going to go to the folder where the S&D is located, which is in the Geralt Blide, and then it's in Blide, and then it's in the character, and just power through all this and just click the S&D, and it'll take a second to load depending on what kind of computer you're on. And there we go, and now we have a basic idea of exactly how tall Blide is, exactly where he is on the axis, all the information that we need. And over here on the side, we have all the objects that make Blide what he is. So we could take a look. We're going to be deleting all that fur, that chest piece, the hair. But before that, let's go ahead and import the GLTF file, which is going to be in the Geralt folder instead of the Blide folder. So we're going to open up Geralt. We're going to find that scene that we talked about earlier. And boom. Except he looks absolutely atrocious. And he's nowhere near the right spot. So when you're doing this, make sure to constantly keep clicking Object, Apply, Apply all transforms, because it gets a little finicky sometimes, and you don't want to run into the difficulty of uh, just not being able to have him port into flavor um, or filver correctly. But anyway, so we're gonna try to get Geralt to line up perfectly. Oh, sorry, it's 7:36 in the morning and I haven't slept at all. But we're gonna line them up perfectly, just so that the port is super smooth. There's a lot of tricks too that you can do to make his body just look a lot better. And it's just a lot of trial and error and a lot of Blender tutorials. A lot of your issues are going to be Blender related, and you may have to look up a lot of Blender tutorials to figure all that out, and that's totally fine. I don't actually, oh fuck, have much Blender experience myself, so some things I do may seem questionable or weird. Anyway, so we don't want his legs. We don't want that platform he's standing on. We don't really need his arms. It is really weird that he's looking to the side, and that's kind of one of the other difficulties of, uh, oh yeah, we're gonna go to edit real quick. That's one of the difficulties of doing a photo 3D object. That's why I would highly suggest getting a real 3D object meant for gaming or meant for digital assets, because this was a it just does not work. Anyway, so over here in the corner, I'm clicking um, is a box selector. If you push W, you can turn it into a pretty much a highlighter, and you can highlight everything that you would like to um, mess with. In this case, we're highlighting the arms because we're going to be deleting them. Um, and if you want to move around, you can do middle mouse click or shift and middle mouse click, and it'll adjust your screen a lot better. Just bring your mouse around. So I'm just loosely trying to get his arms up because I can do some better lines. You'll notice sometimes that these lines won't highlight, and that's one of the other problems of having a mesh naturally generate when it's not supposed to. Um, See all that? Those are all lines that aren't connecting. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold Control plus, and all it's going to do is select a little bit bigger. Another thing that you can do is go to select more or less, and just click more. You can see the shortcut right next to it. And now when we delete, it should delete pretty much everything in its direct vicinity. Um, I find it very useful. But yeah, so when you have that issue where things aren't lining up, it could seriously just be the fact that it's a terrible model to import. And you could try your best to work around it, but it's just ridiculous. And you also see how many lines this model has, which would be polygons. Um, that could also be an indicator that this is not going to be a fun project to try to import. So I would suggest just trying to start out um, just a lot better imports. Anyway, so I deleted the vertices, and you can see it's a little rough on the edge. I'm gonna just clean that up. I'm gonna go ahead and just delete the rest of his body that I just don't feel like it's necessary to have. And you can see that I'm constantly pushing Control plus to highlight more things that I just don't want. So I went ahead and pretty much cut everything I didn't like out, which would be his arms, his legs, and I cut the tips of his sword just because I felt like it. So I clicked this button that should show us his texture map, the diffuse map or the albedo map, and it comes out purple, and that's definitely not what we want. We'll fix this in the next episode, but in the meantime, this is pretty much what he looks like. It's not bad. It's definitely some work that we can do.